Hello and welcome to the Learning Love podcast. This is where we learn what love is and how to live a life of love in every area. My name is Dr. Mark A. Hicks, author of the book Learning Love. Love can be practical, tangible, and a realistic life for everyone, regardless of your relationship experiences so far. So thank you for joining me as we spend some time learning love.
Love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. And today's question is, how does passion fit into a life of love? Now, of course, passion is very important. It's important in our romantic relationships, in marriage. It's also important in every other aspect of life. Bringing a passion for life in every area is vital to living that life that we want. If you're going to thrive in your career and love what you do, you need to bring a passion to your vocation. As you work so hard to raise your children, there's a passion for parenting, for bringing your best every day. Sometimes that can be difficult, but we bring our best every day for our family, for our children, to be there for them, raise them up, and teach them the ways of life. Bringing a passion for your hobbies, for your interest. All these things are vital to living a life that is thriving, that is healthy, that is happy. And that's why it's such an important part of love. In my book, Learning Love, I list passion as the fifth component of love. But keep in mind, they're not in any particular order. They're all important. All five components of love are important and necessary to live that life of love, to have healthy, happy, thriving relationships in every area. Now, if you're not familiar with the five components of love, go to my website, markahicks.com, and download my free ebook, The 5 Components of Love. You'll get a brief overview of what I'm talking about when I say the 5 components of love. And in June of 2025, my book, Learning Love, is coming out from Morgan James Publishing, and I go into great detail on not only what the 5 components are, but how to live them out. So keep an eye out for that and make sure you pre-order your copy. But today we're talking about that fifth component of love, passion. A passion for life in every area, from our marriage and romantic relationships to the passion we bring to life in general, to every area. Parenting, hobbies, friends, our vocation, everything in life. We need to have the vitality that comes with passion. And so in the first segment of the show today, we're going to talk about what passion is and how to develop it in every area. And I should say how to keep it, because almost everyone has experienced it in the beginning of relationships. We have that passion when we have that new romantic interest. We have passion for our jobs when we land that dream job, when it's not just a job to pay the bills, but it's something that we really feel like is fulfilling and makes a difference in our lives and maybe the lives of other people. We get up excited every day to go to work, at least for a while. And then, no matter how much we love the job, eventually everything becomes a grind. We have a passion for being a good parent, but sometimes parenting is a grind. It's just difficult. And so how do we keep passion in our life in all these areas that we care about so much? In the second segment, we're going to talk about passion's dysfunctional cousin. It's called obsession. Obsession can look a lot like passion, but it's not. While passion brings energy and vitality, obsession is unhealthy and is a destroyer of relationships, a destroyer of lives. They can look similar, they can feel almost the same when we're in the midst of it, but obsession is not passion. It is a very dangerous alternative. We're going to talk about that and how to avoid it. And finally, in the third segment, we're going to talk about why it's so difficult to distinguish between the two. As I explain the differences today, they're going to be pretty obvious. There's going to be a clear distinction between passion and obsession. It's going to be easy to see and easy to understand. But when we're living it out in real life, it is very hard to tell the difference, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to tell you what that reason is, and I'm going to tell you how to deal with it. And so stick with me today as we talk about something so important in our lives to bring that energy, vitality, and to live a healthy, happy, thriving life in every area when we enjoy a life of passion. When we talk about passion, we're talking about that strong feeling of enthusiasm, that intense feeling of excitement that we have for someone or for something, for some activity in our life. And virtually everyone has experienced passion at some time or another. It's pretty easy to come by when things are new. When we have that new romantic interest, man, there's passion. When we have that new job that we wanted so bad, and when we land it, we can't wait to get to work every day. When we take up that new activity, that new hobby, sometimes we just can't get enough. It just excites us so much. We bring a passion for raising our children, for the bonds of family. All of these things are pretty easy to experience at certain times in the relationship. However, we all know that things become a grind. Everything in life becomes ordinary at some point. As much as you love your spouse or partner, when you spend your days trying to figure out how to pay the bills, how do you keep this house clean when these kids keep messing it up? How do you keep the schedule straight so that you don't forget to pick up the kids? Who's going to do what chores? Who's going to make some of these financial decisions, and how? What's the schedule going to be for who's picking up the kids? And how are you going to discipline those kids when they get out of line? Those are all things that are just difficult. And even if you're good at having these conversations, and even if you're good at running your household, it takes a lot of work. And it's draining after a while to have those conversations, even if you're good at having them. Even if you resolve all of these things, when that's your conversation day after day of how we're going to get things done around the house, how we're going to take care of the kids, how we're going to keep this schedule, and how we're going to pay the bills, sometimes it's hard to feel the passion. As much as you love your kids, they can drive you crazy. You know, you love them, you adore them, they are your life, they are your world. But then there are those moments where you just want them to pick up the toys and stop hitting your brother. It's just maddening sometimes how much you have to deal with to keep these kids from hurting themselves and hurting other people. It's a full-time job just to keep these kids out of harm's way. And as much as you love your job, you know, sometimes it's going to be a grind. You're going to get up on that Monday morning and you're going to think, I love my job, but not today. I just don't want to do it today. You may feel very grateful on a regular basis to have the job you have. It may be fulfilling. You may have a sense of really contributing something good to the world. You might make great money and be able to provide for your family in very important ways. But there are going to be those days where you're just looking at the clock, wondering, how is this day going so slow? And why is everyone I work with being so irritating today? These things just happen in life. Everything becomes ordinary. Everything becomes a grind. And sometimes we just have to get through the day. So when we get into that place of life, how do we keep passion as part of love? As part of love in our marriage, with our family, with our kids, with our friends, with our coworkers, with what we do for a living, and even in our hobbies. How do we keep the passion when everything becomes an ordinary routine to get through the day? This is a question that a lot of people ask when they get into their 30s, 40s, because in your 20s, it's turbulent, but it's also exciting. because you get through your job training, you get through college, you get that first job, you get that first promotion, you meet that special someone, you get married, you have kids, you buy the house. It's a lot of stuff. And then you get into your 30s and your 40s and you're paying that mortgage and you're going to that job every day. And you're taking care of those kids that are always messing up the place and just don't seem to listen very well. And you're just dealing with a lot of stuff. And you start to think, is this it? Is this what I've worked for my whole life? Is this what I've worked so hard to achieve, just to pay the bills, keep the kids from hurting each other, and go to work every day? Is that really it? And that's an important question. That's when we start to understand what it means to have passion. Passion is keeping the enjoyment of life. Yes, life is going to be ordinary at times. Life is going to be a grind. Every job, running every household is going to be a grind sometimes. That's okay. It can still be enjoyable. It may not be the thrill that it was when you first walked into that new company with all your ambition, or that thrill of that first date with that new someone, that there was that spark and you just knew it was something different. It may not be that same level of thrill, but passion is about enjoying your life. It's about enjoying even the ordinary. It's about having fun. Fun is critical. If we're going to have a life of passion, we have to have a life where we have fun. And that's what we forget. The simple element of just having fun. It doesn't have to be the thrill of life that it was when we were in our 20s, perhaps, and all these things were new. But you can still enjoy that marriage with the person you love. You can still have fun with them. You can have fun with those kids. Even though they drive you crazy sometimes, you can still have fun with them. You can have fun at your job. Not every day. Not every activity is going to be exciting on a job. It's not always going to be fun, but some things can be. You can enjoy your life. Let yourself enjoy it. Look for the enjoyment. Pay attention to see when the things come along that you can enjoy. Don't get so caught up in the grind that you forget to enjoy the moment. Don't get so caught up in doing the ordinary that you forget how extraordinary life can be. Look for it. Enjoy the moments that are enjoyable. Don't pass them off. Don't neglect them because there's problems. Of course there's problems in life. Pay attention to see the good things as well, and make fun a priority. Now, if you find that to be maybe close to impossible, if it seems like your life has become so overwhelming with the drudgery of job and raising kids and carpooling and cleaning house and paying bills, if it looks like you are so overwhelmed with all of that stuff that it's just impossible to think about having fun, to think about enjoying your life, let me give you a little trick. This is not going to cure everything, but it can help. It can be a start. It can be a push in the right direction when you're struggling to find your passion for life, struggling to find the enjoyment and the fun in life. And here's the trick. Fake it. Think about what a person would do if that person enjoyed life, and then do that. Think about what a person would do if they were having fun, and then do that. Now, you may not really have a great time. It may feel awkward. In fact, it's probably going to feel awkward. It might feel fake because it's fake. But we're beginning to train our minds. Sometimes we feel so overwhelmed in the drudgery because we've done it every day, over and over, for so long, that our brains just get caught up in that way of thinking. And we can't see anything then except the drudgery, except the everyday grind of stuff. And we have to train our minds to see differently. And so fake it. Have fun. Do things that would be fun, even if you're not in the mood to do those things. Think about what you would enjoy if you were at a different place in your life. If you were at a place where you could actually have fun and enjoy life, what would you do? What would it look like? How would you act? And do that. Even if it feels awkward, even if it doesn't really work the first time, that's okay. It's training. It's moving in that direction. And slowly over time, as you train your mind to have fun again, to enjoy life again, it'll start to feel more natural. You'll start to actually enjoy those things. And so start, if you can, by just paying attention. Paying attention to what is enjoyable. Sometimes we just forget to look for it. We're so caught up in the problems of life, we forget to even notice the fun things of life around us. Well, pay attention and enjoy them. But if you've gotten yourself into such a place of depression and struggle that fun just seems like a foreign object, fun just seems like something other people would have, okay, fake it. Think about what you could enjoy if you were at a different place in your life. Think about what a person would have fun doing if they were so inclined, and then go do that. Let it feel awkward. Let it feel strange. Try to enjoy it as much as you can, and eventually you'll gain some speed. Your mind will start to pick up this new way of doing things, and you'll actually learn how to have fun again. And when you know how to have fun, you know how to enjoy life. And when you know how to enjoy life, you're living a life with passion. Now, unfortunately, as you're pursuing this life of passion, there is a dangerous alternative that will look a lot like passion. It will feel like a life of passion, but it's not. It's passion's very dysfunctional and dangerous cousin, obsession. Obsession looks and feels a lot like passion, but it is not at all the healthy, thriving element that passion brings. Instead, it is very unhealthy, destructive, and brings a great deal of hardship into our lives. And yet sometimes we convince ourselves that that's just the price we pay for our passion. Obsession tends to cause distress, discomfort, anxiety, while passion brings energy, it brings vitality, it brings enjoyment, it brings fun. Obsession tends to bring things like control. Obsession is that micromanaging. It is that intrusive thought we just can't get out of our head. And this is where people do very bad things in the name of love. Passion would bring a great enjoyment doing things with your spouse. When you enjoy doing activities with your spouse, that brings a sense of enjoyment, it brings a sense of fun, and that is an element of passion. Obsession is not being able to do things without your spouse. When you're not able to function without them by your side. When you are not able to have activities with friends or allow them to have activities with friends. When you must always do things together. That's obsession. When you love your job and you love being there and you can't wait to get there in the morning and you love what you do and you enjoy the people you work with and you have a great time doing that, that's passion. When you can't leave work because some detail might not be done just perfectly, when you can't let other people do things at work because you need to control it, when you are with your family but you're always thinking about work, that is obsession. If you want to be part of your kids' lives, you want to enjoy activities with them, you want to do fun things with them, you want to share your wisdom with them and raise them up to be good people, well, of course, that's a passion for raising your kids. But when you must control their every activity, when you must micromanage their lives, even when they're adults, that's obsession. There have been lots of people that have become controlling, manipulative, oppressive in their marriage or family life, people that have become workaholics that drain themselves empty because they just can't let go of the job, and they do it in the name of love. I micromanage my kids, I oppress my kids, I control my kids because I love them and I don't want to see them hurt. I control my spouse, I make sure I know where they are and what they are doing every second because I love them and I just don't want to see them get hurt or make a mistake. People say, I work so hard, I work so many hours, I'm constantly thinking about my job because I love what I do. And in some circles, you can actually be praised for that from fellow people who are also obsessive, who are also controlling, manipulative with their family or workaholics at work. They'll encourage you in that. That's not love. That's not passion. It's obsession. Now, one of the ways to know the difference is to ask yourselves, is what I'm doing bringing vitality, joy, excitement, enjoyment, fun, not only to me, but the people in my life, to my family, my children, my spouse, my coworkers, my friends, enjoy my passion for life? Does it bring a vitality and a positive energy not only to me, but to the people around me as well? That's passion. Or is it draining me and draining the people around me? Is it causing me and the people around me to have anxiety? Do my coworkers dread to see me coming? Is my family in turmoil? Are we arguing on a regular basis? Every family argues sometimes, but is argument a standard procedure in our family? Is there this constant push-pull of control? Then you're not practicing passion, which is part of love. You're practicing obsession, which is not at all healthy, is not part of love. It can look like passion because you put so much of yourself into it, but when it's draining you and it is causing tension and anxiety in your relationships, it is not passion, it is obsession, and it's very unhealthy, and it can destroy your health and your relationships. So be careful, stay away from it, and if you find yourself in the midst of it, get help. If you don't, you're going to harm yourself and the people you love. Now, it would look like those two things are pretty easy to tell apart. As I explained them, they appear to be very different, but in real life, it's very hard to distinguish the two. So in our last segment today, I'm going to tell you why it's so hard to distinguish those and what you can do to make sure you're living a life of passion. So it would seem easy enough to distinguish the two. If you're getting good results, you're happy, and the people around you are happy, as you pour yourself into your family activities, connection with your spouse, what you do for a living, if this is bringing health, vitality, energy, enjoyment, fun, it's passion. If it's more about control issues, manipulation, ownership, domination, that's obsession. And so why would it be hard to distinguish? Those are very different things. Well, there's a couple of key reasons. When we were young, as children, whatever we were raised around was assumed to be normal. Whatever we were exposed to in life, in society, and particularly in our family, that became normal. And so if our parents did it, it can be assumed then, well, that must be love. So let's say, for instance, you had a dad who was a workaholic, who spent all his time at work, made plenty of money for you, gave you nice gifts, provided a nice home. You never really wanted for anything, but you also never really saw your dad. It could be really easy to interpret that workaholic father had a passion for his job, and his providing of money was his way of showing love. And so if you tend to have those same workaholic tendencies, it can feel like it's love. I mean, after all, Dad loved me, and he worked constantly. And so that's how we interpret love, because that's how we experienced things growing up. Let's say, for instance, your mother was controlling, manipulative, oppressive, domineering. But hey, she would remind you often, I just do this because I love you. And so that message took hold. And you began to think that domineering, controlling behavior is a sign of love. And so it can be very easy to emulate that same controlling, manipulative, domineering behavior with your kids in the name of love. Because whatever we were raised with begins to feel normal. Whatever was portrayed as love to us becomes our interpretation of love. And so we can live a life of obsession, harming ourselves and harming the people in our lives, thinking we are living a life of passion and love, because that was the message sent to us when we were young. And it's not just within family, it's also within society. Society sends us messages. Our culture sends us messages. And as we take those to heart, sometimes we can interpret that as normal, that's just the way you live out life, when it may be very harmful messaging that we're getting from society. And so if you were sent the message that these obsessive behaviors are in the name of love, it can be very hard to distinguish. We begin to just assume, because that's just what we were raised with, that these obsessive behaviors are all part of love. And if that's the case, it's time to redefine what love is. If you're distressing yourself, harming your relationships, draining yourself empty, and exasperating everyone in your life, if you're harming your relationships, you're struggling at work, you're struggling at home, it's time to reassess and think, maybe this isn't passion. Maybe the message I got about love wasn't right. Love is a learned skill set. And if we learned some inappropriate things or unhelpful things growing up, we can relearn it. We can learn how to love properly. We can learn what passion is rather than living a life of obsession. So don't just assume the things you experienced in the past were correct. Evaluate them. Think about them. Are they really working for you? Are they bringing joy and vitality to your life? And if they're not, that might be obsession and not passion. Again, get help. Relationships can be tricky. All this stuff can be difficult to sort through. So find a relationship coach, find a counselor, find a therapist, find somebody to help you work through the nuances of all of this so you can live that life of passion, that fifth component of love, and not fall into the trap of obsession. If we want to live a life of love, passion is what we need.
Thank you for joining me on the Learning Love podcast. If you're ready to live your life of love, visit my website, markahicks.com, to get my free ebook, The 5 Components of Love. And coming in 2025, my new book from Morgan James Publishing, Learning Love, Building a Life That Matters and Healthy Relationships That Last. Pre-orders will be available soon. And remember, love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. Love well, everyone.